Hi, I'm Dan and welcome to Polar Currency and video number 4. Many people are aware that before Texas was a state, it was an independent country, the Republic of Texas. But there were two other U.S. states that were countries, self-governed by legislation and even issued currency. The Vermont Republic was one, and the other, Hawaii. I came across this story while visiting Hawaii this past year and was dumbfounded by what I didn't know. The Kingdom of Hawaii, later the Republic of Hawaii, far outlasted any of the counterpart state countries. And the paper currency they issued, while short-lived, it was simply stunning. And before we get started, I want to apologize for my butchering of the beautiful Hawaiian language. I did my best researching pronunciations. You think I could do better with only 13 characters. Okay, so with the story, and sometimes you just have to start at the beginning, and that's what I have to do when the West came to the Hawaiian Islands.
In 1778, British explorer Captain James Cook was the first European to arrive on the Hawaiian Islands. On a return visit a year later, he was killed in a confrontation with the Hawaiian natives. Certainly a dark foreshadowing of what was to come the next 100 years, which, like everything else, sadly, always seems to come down to money. The sovereign state of the Kingdom of Hawaii was formed in 1795 when Chief Kamehameha the Great of the independent island of Hawaii conquered the independent islands of Oahu, Maui, Molokai, and Lanai, and uniformed them under one government. In 1810, the whole Hawaiian archipelago became unified when Kauai and Niihau joined the Hawaiian kingdom voluntarily. After the formation of the kingdom, the islands relied almost entirely on the barter system as a form of currency. It took another 20 years for privately issued and foreign currency to circulate. It wasn't until 1847 when the first official coinage was issued by the Kingdom of Hawaii, a copper cent bearing the portrait of King Kamehameha III, who was the longest reigning monarch of Hawaii for over 30 years. The privately minted coin wasn't popular with the natives because of the poor likeness of the king and a denomination typo on the back. I have to admit, it's pretty third-grade level at best. Under his reign, Hawaii evolved from an absolute monarchy to a constitutional monarchy. But Kamehameha III had the difficult task of balancing Western modernization while keeping his nation and culture intact. The story of Hawaiian paper currency can't be understood without a brief history of the political upheavals that began in 1887 with a coup d'etat overthrowing the last king of Hawaii, Kalakaua, by sugarcane and pineapple plantation owners, and yes, that would include the Dole family, along with other businesses and wealthy Hawaiian residents. The anti-monarchist group forced a new constitution on King Kalakaua, stripping him of much of his authority and transferring power to, surprise, American, European, and native Hawaiian elites. It became known as the Bayonet Constitution for the use of intimidation by an armed militia forcing the king to cooperate. Under threat of being deposed or worse, King Kalakaua signed the new constitution regulating the monarch to only a figurehead. The civil unrest continued 5 years later in 1893 when basically the same group from 1887 led a second coup d'etat and removed Queen Liliuokalani, the last monarch of the Kingdom of Hawaii and the sister of King Kalakaua, who died in 1891. Queen Liliuokalani wanted to restore the monarchy and voting rights for the native islanders. And let's be honest, you can't have that. There was no bloodshed as the Royal Armed Force did not resist. A provisional government was created until the Republic of Hawaii formed on July 4, 1894. The Republic only lasted 4 years, and in 1898 Hawaii was annexed by the United States and incorporated as a territory, which is exactly the outcome that the leaders of the two coups had wanted since the 1880s. Back to currency and rewinding the clock 40 years, the Hawaiian legislature legalized the issuance of paper currency under the Civil Code of 1859.
The government recognized that the kingdom's monetary system was exclusively made up of gold and silver coins from other countries and couldn't meet the growing commercial and banking needs. The U.S. was also experiencing very similar issues.
These early certificates were issued by the Finance Department, but were not accepted as they were crudely printed and looked more like a receipt than currency. It would take 15 more years for the Kingdom of Hawaii's Department of Finance to issue more sophisticated paper money. Around 1875, new banknotes were designed, ordered, and produced by the American Banknote Company. In 1879, the new banknotes were issued in 4 denominations of silver certificates of deposit. In 1895, following the formation of the Republic of Hawaii, new silver and gold certificates of deposit were issued and the $5 denomination was added.
All of Hawaii's notes were printed by the American Banknote Company, which deserves a moment because of its role in the production of currency. Founded in 1795, the American Banknote Company developed into one of the foremost high-security engraving and printing firms in the years prior to the Civil War.
It printed a good portion of the first U.S. currency until the Bureau of Engraving and Printing became 100% self-sustaining in 1877. After many acquisitions and mergers, the company today is known as the American Banknote Corporation and continues to produce almost any form of monetary-related materials and documents. All Hawaiian banknotes from these issues are extremely rare because they were demonetized in 1903 following the period of U.S. annexation of Hawaii as a territory. When they were turned in, they were destroyed. Actual certificates of deposit that were never redeemed and the American Banknote Company proof and/or specimens are extremely rare and valuable for collectors, selling between $5,000 to $25,000. Well, I didn't have time to steal a car or to get that crack deal complete to fund that type of purchase, but I did manage to find a Hawaiian silver quarter dollar. It's XF details, but it's the real deal. The coins are known as Kalakaua Coinage, named after the last king of Hawaii, who is on the obverse, and the reverse depicts the Hawaiian coat of arms. They were .9 silver coins issued by the Kingdom of Hawaii dated 1883, authorized to boost Hawaiian pride by giving the nation its own money. The coins preceded the silver and gold certificates and were issued in denominations of a dime, 10-cent, quarter dollar, half dollar, and dollar. Struck at the San Francisco Mint, both sides were designed by Charles E. Barber, the chief engraver of the United States Mint. Barber's best-known designs are the Liberty head coins, the V-nickel, the Barber dime, quarter, and half dollar. All right, I've had enough of coins. Back to banknotes. Because the certificates were designed and printed by the American Banknote Company, they reflect other contemporary international banknotes of the time. The beauty, unique design details, the artistry and color reflect banknotes that were issued throughout the world. All of these world currencies were produced by the American Banknote Company. The 1879 silver certificates of deposit are unique because each denomination had its own color on the front and back. $10 orange, $20 brown, $50 green, $100 blue, and the $500 trial note, which was never issued, red. The 1895 series all had uniform color schemes. Silver certificates blue, gold certificates bright goldfish yellow. Also, unique to the series was the Hawaiian language denomination printed on each side of the front. They were the $5 Elma, $10 Umi, $20 Iwokawa, $50 Kanalima, and the $100 Okeheheneri. All three issues of the certificates of deposit were originally bound in blue leather books containing 500 of each denomination. The finance department would issue the certificates when an individual would deposit their gold or silver and record the serial number, date, and the person whom the banknotes were issued to. The certificates would then trade and circulate on par with gold, silver coins, and other currencies.
If the person holding the certificate wanted to convert to hard gold or silver, they could go to the finance department and redeem them. The certificates would then be removed from circulation and destroyed. Some of the vignettes depicted on Hawaiian notes may appear unusual, and there are a few, but most of the imagery makes sense when you get all of the information. The same vignettes were used for both the Series 1879 and 1895 silver certificates of deposit. The only difference, a $5 denomination was added to the 1895 and the trial $500 note of 1879. The currency size is basically the same as the U.S. larger size notes. Following is a walkthrough of the vignettes that were used using the 1895 silver and gold certificates as the visuals.
The $5 denomination was only issued with the 1895 series. The center vignette depicts the front entrance to Iolani Palace in Honolulu, built in 1882 and served as the Royal Palace and later the State House for the Republic and territorial governments. The building was restored and opened to the public as a museum in 1978. Iolani Palace is the only royal palace to ever have been on U.S. soil. To the left and right of the palace are appropriate images of a palm tree and a Hawaiian native. He doesn't look happy, but can you blame him? His country was just overthrown, not once, but twice. The $10 silver certificate center vignette has a cowboy rustling cattle, which may seem very odd. Cowboys in Hawaii. But Hawaii is the most remote island chain in the world, and they had to provide for themselves. Cattle was introduced to the islands in 1793, and with the beautiful weather and vast expanses of grassland, cattle ranching prospered. The side vignettes depict a sailing ship, which certainly makes sense as it was the only way to travel to Hawaii, but it's flying the U.S. flag. Remember, Hawaii was a sovereign country at the time. It's protocol when a ship sails into a port to fly the flag of the nation they are entering. The right vignette of a locomotive also makes sense given that Hawaii's first railroad opened on Maui in 1879. The 20 silver certificate presents some head-scratching. The center vignette depicts an unspecified princess, but not a native Hawaiian princess. The princess is flanked by a locomotive, understandable, and a steamship, which makes sense because the first steamship, Hudson Bay Company's Beaver, arrived in Hawaii in 1836, but by sail. It didn't have paddles installed yet. No information as to what happened to that ship after that. It took another 10 years for a British sidewheel steamer, Cormorant, to arrive under its own steam power in Honolulu in 1846. Now we get back to head-scratching. The left side vignette pictures a young girl holding puppies. Puppies? Is that the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Hawaii? To the right has a version of the state of Rhode Island coat of arms, which is also very perplexing. No answers here. The center vignette of the $50 certificate is titled The Tropics. Perfectly logical, with an allegorical Lady Liberty holding what looks like a nightcap on a pole.
Historical symbol sidebar here. During the 1800s, Liberty was also known as Columbia. The nightcap is actually a liberty cap, a symbol of freedom and liberty commonly used throughout the 19th century. The symbol derived from ancient Greek and Roman times when a slave was freed, they were given a cap of liberty and touched with a pole in the ceremony leading to freeing the slave. This is a very common symbol for early American coins, but rarely seen on currency. Alright, back to Hawaii.
The ram on the left may seem out of place, but goats were the first domestic animals introduced to Hawaii by Captain Cook in 1778. They didn't do well domestically and many got free, presumably without wearing liberty caps, and they populated the islands and were mainly hunted as wild animals. As for the portrait titled Fanny of a young lady, no clue as to who or why Fanny is on the 50, but I can tell you that the engraving is credited to James Bannister, a very accomplished artist of the time. Bannister's engraving of the Eagle of the Capitol appeared on the 1864 $10 interest-bearing note, and in my opinion, GFC Smiley's engraving that appears on the Series 1899 $2 certificate, pretty similar. Plagiarism? You be the judge. If you've been paying attention, or you're even still watching, you should recognize the center vignette of the $100 silver certificate. It's taken from the $20, but the princess has been replaced with a globe. The American Banknote Company must have run out of design time. The right vignette is of a cow, we now know that makes sense, and to the left is a horse. What do you need to cattle ranch? The first horses arrived in Hawaii in 1803, and by 1820 they were very common due to ranching and very, very popular with the local Hawaiians. The famous British female explorer Isabella Bird visited the Hawaiian Islands in 1872. She noted that, except for short shopping distances in Honolulu, I have never seen a native man or woman walking, and I have seen men take the trouble to mount horses to go 100 yards. Riding horseback continues to this day and has been incorporated into Hawaiian culture. The Trial 500 imagery makes sense. The center vignette features a locomotive at a train station flanked by two steamships. The left vignette depicts King Kalakaua, who recently died in 1891. And on the right, a man harvesting sugarcane, one of Hawaii's main cash crops.
The Series 1895 gold certificates of deposit are certainly eye-poppers. All have the light yellow gold coloring on the front and the intense goldfish gold on the reverse. Most likely this was adopted by the American Banknote Company from the U.S. Bureau of Engraving and Printing, who issued the Series 1882 gold certificates.
The $5 gold certificate of deposit, the lowest denomination issued by the Republic, like the 1895 $5 silver certificate of deposit, has the center vignette is the Iolani Palace but depicts the back entrance that faces the state capitol building of Hawaii. The two properties are adjacent to each other in Honolulu. The right vignette is of a bull, and the left is a portrait titled Haiti. Just like Fanny, I have no idea what her deal is, but we do know that she was engraved by Tsukichi Oyama, an accomplished Japanese artist and engraver at the time. What's strange to me? is that it appears Haiti and the bull are making eye contact. Okay, uncomfortably moving on to the 10. Depicted front and center is a sugarcane plantation. Makes total sense. The left engraving is of the steamer SS Fernisia, proudly flying the British Union Jack on her bow, which, if you're remembering naval protocol, she should be flying the Hawaiian flag. Ironically, Fernisia never sailed to Hawaii, let alone on the Pacific Ocean. She spent her entire 25-year career on the Atlantic Ocean. On the right is a portrait of Liberty, this time wearing her Liberty cap. The center vignette of the $20 gold certificate of deposit has another depiction of life on a sugarcane plantation. Understandable. On the left is, once again, Lady Liberty, this time ready for a fight, wearing a helmet with a shield to her side. This illustration bears a very close resemblance to the Statue of Freedom that sits atop the U.S. Capitol Dome and also appears on the 1862 $5 United States note. To the right is a horse giving the viewer the stink eye. I have no idea why this image was selected. I'll let you draw your own conclusions. The 1895 $50 denomination gets back to cowboys rustling cattle front and center. To the right is a classic palm tree, and that all makes sense until you look left. Random woman. Farmer? That's not Liberty. No Liberty hat, so she's not Liberty. So who, Columbia? No, that's the U.S. This is Hawaii. And what is she looking at? The most likely explanation to the curious imagery is that stock vignettes were used by companies like the American Banknote Company to save on engraving costs. The only images identified as specific or custom to the Hawaiian certificates are the two engravings of the Iolani Palace for the $5 notes. All the others are stock vignettes. Doesn't mean they weren't appropriate or beautiful in design and artistry. Well, if you were a country that couldn't print your own money, you would contact a company like the American Banknote Company. You'd sit down and page through stacks of catalogs and pick from their stock engravings of what you wanted on your currency. You'd select from a host of vignettes: economy, historical moments, rural life, hunting, river life, liberty, and ships. Speaking of ships, let's bring back the Series 1895 Gold Certificate of Deposit. The left vignette has the title of SS Fernisia, which we talked about, and if we bring back the ship catalog page of stock vignettes, and yep, there she is. This is the same practice that is used today with stock video and photography. It saves time and money and still does the job. The $100 gold certificate of deposit keeps things pretty simple. The left vignette pictures male and female allegorical figures wearing laurel wreaths known as the crown of immortality. The center rinses and repeats with another locomotive, which was the contemporary image representing technology, prosperity, and innovation for a lot of countries. And we're back to horses on the right. Hawaiians love their horses.
That's it for the Kingdom and Republic of Hawaii's gold and silver certificates of deposit. Who knew? Currency is a snapshot in time that reflects history and culture. I hope you've enjoyed this and maybe learned something along the way. Hit the thumbs up button if you like what you see, and feel free to leave a comment. I sincerely appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.